Hello, Dan.
Hey Patrick, how are you?
Fine, and you?
I'm awesome. We survived Ignite.
Yeah.
I think we deserve a little bit of a prize or maybe a glass of wine or something.
Could you present yourself to our community?
Absolutely. My name is Dan Holme. I'm the Director of Product Marketing for SharePoint in the corporate offices in Redmond. I've been an MVP for 10 years before getting this job and a consultant for 20 years.
Okay, so what is exactly your goal in this new role in Redmond?
My goal is obviously to really help make sure that SharePoint lands well, especially with all of the incredible innovations that we've been announcing over the last 6 months. We want to make sure that the community, that our customers, our MVPs, our partners really know how to make the most of these innovations and drive business value for their customers and for their organizations.
So, can you summarize a little bit all the new stuff we have now on SharePoint, especially around the modern SharePoint?
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, there was a lot that we talked about this week. We had 60 sessions and just an enormous amount of announcements, big and small. I think they fall into a couple of categories. First is the mobile modern internet. SharePoint is now taking the steps to establish a way for you to connect with people, with content, and with apps across your organization, and to do it not only in a browser, but in your pocket as well, with the SharePoint mobile apps on iOS that already existed. And of course, we announced this week the availability of the preview for Windows and Android as well. So mobile modern internet. Second, team sites. We've done a lot to modernize the team site experience with lists and libraries and the team site homepage that features an activity view driven by Microsoft Graph. And very importantly, we announced Team News, which was one of our little surprises that we had, that allows you to communicate with your team using modern pages that create a news-like experience. And that on your mobile app, on iOS right now, rolls up so that you can see all of your news across all of your team sites right in SharePoint Mobile.
That's cool.
So we've done a lot with team sites. Third is OneDrive as the place where you can get to all of your Office 365 files. So just as you've been able to do in some of the OneDrive mobile apps, now in all of the mobile apps and in the browser, you can use OneDrive to get to all of your Office 365 files, your individual OneDrive for Business, all of your files in your teams and groups and SharePoint sites. So it really becomes like a super explorer for Office files. And in addition, we announced the preview of SharePoint Sync and Shared Folder Sync. So we now are closing the last gaps of what our customers were telling us they were missing in a very big way, so that now you can take any of those files from across Office 365 and make them available offline. Next is the fact that we are really committed to making sure that our developers and partners can continue to extend SharePoint. So that means not only better access to underlying functionality through Microsoft Graph, we announced previews of sites and lists in the Graph, but also continuing to take steps forward with the SharePoint framework. So that allows developers to build client-side solutions for SharePoint using the same open frameworks and even open sourced solutions that they're used to in places outside of SharePoint.
Do you see the SharePoint framework as a main option to develop on SharePoint in the future, or one option among the others?
Great question. I think the SharePoint framework is one of many options. We're not giving up on the SharePoint add-in model. We're in fact adding some additional capabilities to it later this year. And it certainly has a role to play in certain types of solutions. The SharePoint framework is the cloud-first, mobile-first approach to extending SharePoint. So certainly I think we'll get to a point where we're meeting everyone's needs in that framework and it will move forward. But we're not giving up on existing models. And last but not least, we're not giving up on on-prem either. It's really important to us that we help our customers bring this value that we're delivering in the cloud first into their on-prem environment. So we announced the availability of Feature Pack 1, which includes a couple of new user interfaces, the OneDrive interface, and the new custom app launcher tiles for on-prem, and then unified taxonomy and unified auditing. So you can have one basically metadata store across on-prem and cloud environments, and much more granular auditing of activity both on-prem and in the cloud. And a couple of other great features, including central administration and PowerShell auditing, OneDrive APIs for developers, and some additional things. So And that's just the first feature pack, and we promised that in 2017. The bad news is we broke our promise. The good news is we over-delivered and are getting it into your hands right now.
We also have improved minerals with.
That's a very important one, right? So we got very strong feedback about Mineral.
Yeah.
Because Mineral wasn't really very min. It required something like 8 servers.
Big Mineral.
Yeah, it was maxi min. We are now releasing what some people are calling mini Mineral. That supports smaller farms that a lot of customers use. And I think one of the cool things for me being a new Microsoft employee is just how fast that feedback loop worked. Because Mineral came out earlier this year. It's not a very old feature, and we got very clear feedback, and the team turned around and delivered a new version. They actually had the code finished a couple of months ago already. They really listened, and they turned around and delivered an improvement that in record time, really.
That's a cool thing about all the user voice we have now, and telemetry you get from the cloud. So
absolutely,
we see that.
So please keep giving your feedback. He mentioned user voice. Don't the new feedback buttons that are in the apps themselves, like the new OneDrive UX, the new modern libraries and lists, they have little feedback things down in the corner. Fill those in, because those go straight to the product team. Cool. As do Message Center posts. When you give feedback in Message Center, I even see that stuff. So I know it comes to us. Lots of feedback loops. And last but not least, I want to mention the tech community. We really celebrated the real launch of the tech community here that includes not just SharePoint, which used to be supported on the Yammer network, but now also a number of products across what we call CNE, Azure SQL and such.
Okay, that's cool. So anything about Ignite this year? Very cool session, very cool topics you had, very cool people you met.
Yeah, so there were a couple of things that really struck me. First of all, were all the sessions and information around groups. Because groups now are really coming into their maturity. They are a list of people, but then they also power a bunch of collaborative experiences: Planner, Power BI, Conversation, SharePoint sites, etc. And I think there were a lot of questions and a lot of energy around groups. Second thing that I personally really loved was all the new ways that machine learning is surfacing. So what used to be being done in Delve, and that was sort of our showcase for the Microsoft Graph. Now you're seeing intelligence in OneDrive, you're seeing it in your SharePoint sites, you're seeing it in Outlook, everywhere. And it is so freaking cool. And even something as what I would call small as the people carts, that now anywhere in OneDrive or a document library or a list where you have a person's name, you can hover and it pulls up this little card with their organizational relationships and it's so cool.
So cool. That's a word. Okay. So I suppose you will be there next year in Orlando?
Yes, we announced Ignite 2017 in Orlando, September 25th to 29th. Pre-registration is actually already open, which basically means you give us your email address and we let you know when the registration really opens. But it's a start. This one sold out. Last year sold out. I know next year is going to sell out too. So as soon as the registration is open, I encourage people to register quickly. I don't know how far your hotel was from here, but
a little bit too far.
Yeah, many people had to stay quite far away. But it was great, and the energy here was phenomenal. And of course, between now and the next Ignite, we have Envision in February, I believe it is, and Build, which I'm not sure we've announced the date for, so I won't say it. But we've got 2 very big events coming, and you'll hear a lot more from the SharePoint team, for sure.
Thank you very much for sharing, and see you next year.
Thank you, and thank you for everything you do for the community, both there and around the world, really, for everyone who's watching this. Thank you. Au revoir.